Now I'm going to move on to ledge grabbing. I'm going to use the same process that I'm using in this playlist. So I'm going to have some animation, and I'm also going to have a combination of abilities that are going to match that animation and make it look like the player is hanging on to something. First, I want to go into my scenes folder, RB scenes, and I'm going to duplicate the sample scene, rename it ledge grab. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get rid of the enemies, the blue player. I'm also going to get rid of the player spawn. And I'm going to drag in the yellow character. So we go into scene view. Now the camera doesn't have focus because we don't have the target yet. I'm just going to drag spine 1 into the follow target, as well as look at. And I'm going to do the same thing with the shake camera here. Okay, let me click play just to see if it works. Okay, so now we have a new scene with just one character, and everything works exactly the same. I'm going to go back to the scene view, and I want to duplicate this cube, turn it into another platform that we're going to grab onto. Let me change the scale and bring it up. Okay, let me click play. I want to make sure that it's high enough for the player to grab with the arms, but you shouldn't be able to get there with a jump. Okay, I think it's a little too high. Let me bring it down a little bit. Okay, that looks about right. So you make the jump, and now we're gonna have some ledge grabbing, so you can hang on to this part of the cube. I'm gonna exit play mode, and I'm gonna go to mixamo.com. I'm gonna look for a hanging animation. This looks good. Okay, I'm gonna download it. 60 frames per second, download. Okay, and once you're done downloading, I'm gonna put it into my usual Mixamo animations folder. Put it in there. Hanging idle. And again, do the usual stuff. Okay, I'm going to go to animation, rename it hanging idle. It's going to loop. Okay, click apply. Then I'm going to go to the animator for the Y-bot and drag in the animation. So I'm going to go from jump to hanging idle. Make the transition. Okay. For transitioning to the idle, hanging idle, I'm going to create a new parameter. For now, I'm just going to use a generic transition index. Oh no, it's not going to be a bool parameter. I want it to be an integer. Transition index. I'm going to go into the character state script. It's not here. Control T, Let me go to any state and look for the transition parameter, F12. And I'm going to add transition index as an enum. Okay. I'm going to go into my states folder, state scripts, and I'm going to create a new ability. I'll call it transition indexer. Transition indexer. Go in there. Okay, I'm going to look for any other state to copy the format from. Oops. Something like this. Reset local position. I just want the format. Change the name, transition indexer, after copy pasting. The usual stuff. Okay. And in this scriptable object, I want to be able to specify what kind of integer you want. And I also want to be able to specify some of the transition conditions. Transition condition type. And could be something like if you press up, down, left, or right, or if you press attack, or if you jump, things like this. So in our case, we want to be able to say that if you press up while you're jumping, and if you're grabbing a ledge, then we switch to the ledge grabbing animation. So first I want to create a private function called make transition. And I want a public list of all the conditions. Transition conditions. I want to check through this list. So for each of the conditions in the list, let's get the character control first as a parameter. So I want to look at the condition type. Okay, and for each of the conditions, up, down, left, right, attack, jump, what else is there? Ledge, grabbing ledge. Okay, we want to check if the character control matches the condition. Control we don't have the up or down variables for the character control. Oops. Let me go into character control by pressing F12. And I want the public variable here move up as well as move down. Let me save all the code first. So I need to go into manual control as well. Control T, manual input. Okay. I want to look at the virtual input manager. F12, virtual input manager. Okay, I want to create those same variables. Move up, public bool, move down. Okay, in the manual input, I want to have the move up condition. And I also want to have move down condition. So if you press down, the character control says move down. If you press up, character control says move up. I also need to go into keyboard control, keyboard input, Control T, keyboard input, and do the same thing here. I want to specify what keys you want to press. So W is up, move up. S is move down. So basically I'm just expanding the keys, which I've created again in this playlist. Okay, for now, for the conditions, I'm going to return true for now. First, I want to check the keyboard press. Okay. So if I click play and check the player, so if I press up, up goes up. If I press down, down goes up. Okay, looks good. I'm going to go back to the code. So when you check for the transition conditions, if the condition is up, you want to check if control up is checked. If not, then you return false. Same thing with down, move down, move left, move right, attack, jump. The character control doesn't have a script for checking ledge grabbing yet, so for now we're just going to leave this. We'll come back to this later. Okay. So on enter, we say if make transition. First, let's get the character control. Okay, pass on the character control. And when you say make transition, we want to tell the animator to set integer. And the parameter was transition parameter was transitional index. We want to set the index number for the parameter. Okay. And I guess we can also do that every single frame to check if you've met the conditions to move to the next animation. Now I'm going to go back to Unity, go to player, and create a new folder. Call it ledge grab. And I want to make a condition or a scriptable object that specifies the condition, transition indexer, player ledge grab transition indexer. For now, I'm just going to use index 1, and the condition is going to be if you press up, then we move to the grabbing animation. I'm going to go to the animator. I'm going to add the ability ledge grab transition indexer. Okay. And if the index is 1, if it equals 1, then we move to the idle, hanging idle animation. So let's test it. I'm gonna press up in the middle of a jump and see if the animation gets triggered. So I'm gonna jump and press up. So when you press up, we go into this animation. Looks good. Now we want to add a second condition, which is we want to add another transition indexer here below, and then check if the player is hanging on to, or check if the player is colliding with any of the edges. So I'm going to go back to the scene view, go to the player, and I want to create an empty object, an empty cube. Make it 0.2 in scale. The width doesn't really matter because this is a 2.5D platformer. Just make it 2 for now. And I'm going to place this somewhere where the player is going to reach with his arm, with his hands. So somewhere around here. I'm going to turn the collider into a trigger. Okay, I'm going to go into my characters folder. And I'm going to create a new script. Call it ledge checker. Go into the script, namespace, and I want to check for any of the trigger detection or colliding or trigger collision. So on trigger enter, we want to do something. Same thing with on trigger exit. Okay, let me go back. And I want to create another script and call it ledge. Again, go in there, namespace, okay. I'm going to create another empty cube. Okay. Again, scale is going to be 0.2. X can be bigger, and I'm going to place it where the player is going to be able to grab. Something like this. Okay, and it's also going to be a trigger. I'll rename this ledge. And it's going to have the ledge script. I'm going to turn this into a prefab. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the ledge checker. The ledge checker is going to have a private variable called ledge. It's going to start out as null, but when there is some sort of a collision, we want to check if the target object has the ledge script. And if it does have the ledge script, then we want to say is grabbing ledge is true. Okay, same thing with the exit. Okay. I want to attach this to Unity. Add a breakpoint, F9. First I want to check if the colliders are working, or the triggers. So if these triggers collide, nothing's happening. Trigger. Oh, this doesn't have the ledge checker script. Okay, let me play again. And if they collide, okay, now we know whether the player is able to grab the ledge or not. So get rid of attach. And if I look at where's the checker? Okay, let me rename this ledge checker and click apply. Okay, let me play again. If there's collision between the triggers, then this gets turned on. If not, it's turned off. Okay, so we can see it happening here. I'm going to go to the scriptable object and add the condition. So now you have to press up and the triggers have to be colliding. Okay, I'm going to go to the code, character control, no, transition indexer. And if we have the grab ledge condition, I want the character control to have access to the ledge checker. For this, let me just use quick and dirty code. Get component in children, ledge checker. Okay, and inside the transition indexer, we want to check if the player is grabbing the ledge or not. If it's not grabbing the ledge, then we return false. After checking everything, and if all the conditions are met, then we're returning true. Okay, so let me go and test it. So if I press jump and up, nothing's happening because the conditions are not being met. But if I press jump and up, and if the player is touching the ledge, okay, then we move into the animation. Now we want to be able to turn off the gravity. Again, create a new script, call it toggle gravity. Go in there. Okay, I'm going to copy paste the format, toggle gravity. I'm going to keep the start and end variables, and I want to be able to specify whether we want to turn it on or off. So let me create a private function called toggle grav. I want to get the character control, and I want to be able to go into the animator, skinned mesh animator, and oh, it's not the animator, it's the rigid body, and I want to turn on or off the gravity here. Okay, so if on start is true, we want to get the character control, and we want to toggle gravity. Okay, same thing with exit on end. Okay, I'm going to go back to Unity and go to the grab folder, ledge grab folder, and create that ability that we just created. Toggle gravity, player ledge grab toggle gravity off. And in order to turn it off, we don't check on. If this is off, then it means we're turning off gravity. And I want to do that in the beginning of the animation. And I'm going to go to the YBot animator. And as soon as you go into hanging idle, the character state is going to say toggle gravity off. Let's play and test it. So nothing's happening if you're not grabbing the ledge. But if the triggers are colliding, oops, then the gravity gets turned off, but we also want to get rid of the previous velocity. Okay, you don't want to float into outer space. Let's play again. Okay, so as soon as this animation gets triggered, we get rid of all velocity and turn off gravity. Okay, I don't want to do too much in one video. We're done setting up the basic mechanics. In the next video, we want to fine-tune the position of the player when he hangs on, and other stuff like going up the ledge or just simply going back down by letting go. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching.